Hey, what's up guys? Sorry it's been a very long time since I've done a review for an Attack on Titan episode. I guess you could say I've been just very busy with work and everything, and since I'm going to be back for quite a while, I'm going to try to do as many reviews as possible so then I can get caught up on Attack on Titan, and then so then I can start on a new anime series. And I still haven't quite chosen which one I'm going to be reviewing once I get caught up on Attack on Titan. Now this is going to be a review for episode 9 of Attack on Titan. Now, this episode starts out with something that kind of felt like a flashback sort of just because it was mostly stuff that we've already seen before. The main difference is that we saw some more details, and something ended up, I guess you could say, coming true that I pretty much predicted. And that was that, the young guy on the horse, known as the Corporal, or Levi Corporal, and he was on the horse, and it looks like he is going to be a primary focus in the story. And he is going to be a great role in the storyline. So he's not just going to be another side character, he's actually going to be, a great part of the main story and everything. Now, the episode starts out with them on the horses and everything, and there's these girls on the side just going crazy over him, just worship him as if he's a model or something, or just, a celebrity. And there's a female on the horse beside him, and she says, I wonder what they would think if they found out you were such a clean freak. And that was just kind of funny. And it gets even funnier because later she starts going crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this girl to me seems like she's on the loopy side, like her brain's made out of noodles or something just floating in her brain. Like, she's weird. And she seemed like she was getting so excited and so happy to see some Eotens or Titans. And she was so happy about it. And I'm like, good gosh, freaking most people are freaking, like, scared, like, crapless. I mean, seriously. And she says, oh, I wonder what kind I'll see. And she was hoping to see an abnormal one. And anyways, the corporal ended up saying, I see an abnormal one. And she's like, where? She starts looking around, and then he grabs her head and turns it towards him. And he's like, right here. Looks her straight in the face when he says it and everything. I'm not going to lie, if I was in his place, I would have been probably crackling up and laughing or just kind of smiling just a little bit, And it would be hard not to laugh about that. But anyways, I would probably done the same thing, though, either way. But right after this, I guess you could say we start actually seeing him in action. And it looks like I'm not going to lie, he seems like he is the male version of Mikasa. Like, no joke. He is very fast and very strong. And it was great to see him in action and everything. And right as he was seeing one of his, seeing some Titans and everything, and there was these 3 guys that showed up, and they were like, waiting for orders and everything, and he was like, hey, you guys attack the one on the left, and I'll attack the 2 on the right, or the other way around. And he pretty much attacked 2 of them while they only attacked 1, and it was like 3 of them. So it was a little bit funny, and he's like, and then she was like, wait, and then she's like, dang it. But he ended up taking him out either way. And one of his guys, I guess you could say, was getting hurt. And he pretty much, was in the mouth of a Titan, and it was just chomping on him as if he was a sucker or something. And he ended up, getting really mad, and he stabbed it in the face and everything. And he was like, I'll make sure to see you you'll die by the hands of Corporal Levi, or Levi Corporal. And he showed up, like, as soon as he said that, he showed up, and he just showed up at lightning speed, and just slit that thing's neck and everything, killed it. And then we saw a little bit of that, that girl I was talking about. Yeah, she's on the loopy side, she most certainly is, and she was just acting crazy. She was mentally playing with the freaking Titans. But it was kind of funny to see that, though. Then, the guy's on the ground and everything, and, he's dying, and I guess you could say his girlfriend was on the side, or lover in some way or fashion, and she was, she couldn't stop the blood from coming out and everything, couldn't stop him from bleeding, and just as he's about to die, he talks to the corporal and everything, and he asks the most common question that most people seem to ask in the series, which I can kind of understand why they ask, and that is, was I any help to mankind? And he said, you did more than enough. You were more than just a help. I mean, after all, compared to a lot of the other people in their forces, he's lasted a very long time. I mean, no joke, they have, like, a huge number of, all their guys die very quickly, But he said, with your death, I'll become even stronger. And I feel like, in a way, he's a little bit like the main character, Eren, a little bit in that way or fashion. And, I want to learn more about this guy's past and what made him so, strong-willed and everything. And, what made him the way he is and everything. I seriously do. And seeing, he reminds me of some other characters, but yeah, I think him and the main character are probably going to meet each other at some point, and that's going to be kind of interesting. right after that, we get to the part where we finally start learning more about how Eren became an Eoten, as they're calling him now. And it was, it starts out with him in the stomach and everything, and how he was, his arm got bit off and everything in front of Armin's face, and how Armin saw it and he reacted. And we see Eren inside of the stomach, I guess you could say the digestive system of the Titan or the Eoten. All those bodies floating inside of its digestive system, and he's starting to freak out, and he gets flashbacks and stuff, and he hears a female cry and saying, "Mom, help me," or "Save me," and then he starts getting flashbacks of his mom and everything, and, with his arm being off and everything, and at some point he started getting sunk in, as if it was quicksand or something, and he looks up and he says, "I will kill all of you with my bare hands." And it's a little bit just a tiny bit funny just because he only has one hand. But, he's said this many times, and, it was just very bad to see that, at least if we would have saw this before the way it was. And it looks like right as he was starting, to melt or dissolve and everything, that's when he just became an Eoten inside of that Titan's body, and just like freaking his arm came out of its mouth, and he started just erupting and growing and just popped out of its back and everything. It was pretty crazy, and I gotta say, it was very interesting to see that. It was very cool just to see him come out like that and just go out with a bang and everything. And, before very quickly, there was already a Titan about to attack him, because I guess it's witnessed what he did and everything. And he ended up kicking it away, and, he starts stomping on it and says, "I will kill all of you," and he just keeps on yelling things out of hatred, towards them. And he said, "I will kill you all." And then we start, I guess you could say, we get brought back into reality, the present and everything. And, he says it out loud in his human form. And it looks like he was having memories and daydreaming kind of. And he finally, we see him in front of everybody's faces and everything. And, there's all these people around him. And they all have swords, and, they're looking at him so weird. And he's like, "Why are they pointing swords at us? They're made for Eotens." Then we get to a part where the guy that I guess you could say saved them 5 years ago, he starts getting a little bit questioned. Or not questioned, but he's on the guard and everything. And one of the guys on the side, starts asking him, about those, those kids that you saved 5 years ago. Weren't they in the rear guard or rear guard? And he's like, "Yeah." And they were talking about how, it seems like they got the first attack and they got the worst of it and everything. And he said, they're alive, because they're all three very strong in their own way, and they all have have a will to survive and everything. And I guess I could say he was very confident to see that they are alive. He didn't believe, what just people said, even if it seems like almost everybody died, he didn't believe it for a second. He had a lot of faith in him and everything. And then we get back to the present where Eren is, and it looks like he's getting questioned. And there's this, I don't know what his position is or what his name is, but the guy that's in charge, and the guy asks him, "Are you human or are you Eoten?" And he's like, "Why are you asking me that question? Why is everyone looking at me so weirdly?" And then he shouts out, "I don't understand the question." And the guy's looking at him like, "Are you playing dumb?" And then all of a sudden, Mikasa pretty much, starts getting in front of Eren and everyone, and pretty much says that, if you guys want, some fighting, then I will show you what I'm made of. And, Eren's like, "Don't do that." And then she's like, I will have to do whatever it takes to protect Eren. And, she is happy he's alive and everything, so I could kind of see why. And then one of the guys on the sides tells the big guy in charge, "That girl over there alone is worth 100 of our ordinary soldiers." And then he has a big, just like wide surprise look on his face and everything, like he just seen the devil or something. And just you could see the look up by Mikasa's face that she was not around. She was not. And if they tried to attack, then she was gonna attack as well. And then the guy, pretty much says, "For the last time, I'm gonna ask you a question again. Are you human or are you Eoten?" And that's when Eren says, "I'm human." And this is one of those things that kind of surprised me. And even though he said he's human, the guy says to himself, or thinks to himself, "Too bad there's no way to see truly if someone's a demon or not." And I'm like, and the first thing that to me popped up is that, like, hold on, if that's true, then how do we know that you're not a demon? But he pretty much, there were cannons ready and everything, swords, and, he pretty much, did the symbol and everything to attack. And right, as his hand got up and everything, everyone else actually was quite surprised on the side, like, can't believe he's doing this. And right when the cannon was just about to shoot, Mikasa was grabbing Armin, or at least Eren, and just about to carry him away and everything. And Armin was, on the side over there, about to get hit and everything. And Eren starts remembering some things. Remembering things involving his dad. And how he got that key. He got that triggered that flashback. It was seeing that key in front of his face. And he starts remembering what happened that night. Or at least a good number of it. And it looks like, his dad injected something in him to help him live and have a fighting chance to help everybody. And give the human race a fighting chance, ultimately. And he said you may experience some memory loss, so that would explain a lot. And so we get a good idea to understand, why that happens. And he says, I want you to retake control of Wall Maria and get to that basement. And that was another thing I predicted, is that basement is going to be a very important part of how the story turns out, or how things happen. So we know that, and, he's just remembering all this stuff right as the cannon's about to launch. And he's, he gets out of Mikasa's arms. He kind of drags her and starts running towards Armin, grabs them both, has his arms wrapped around them, and then he bites himself. And the first thing that came to mind, the way he bit himself, like, on the thumb, I was like, hold on, this is Attack on Titan, not freaking Naruto. He is not just about to do a freaking summoning jutsu. Because that's pretty much how Naruto does his summoning jutsus. And I was, like, just having a huge, like, what moment? I mean, it was very strange to see that, and it was very unexpected. It could have happened in so many different ways, to be honest with you. But he bit himself, and this was pretty crazy. But that's when the Eoten just formed out of his body and everything. And he put his hand up to pretty much protect them from the cannon shot and everything. And there was a bunch of smoke and everything. And you could see that Mikasa and Armin were pretty much within the freaking the Eoten's body. Like, before it fully formed, it was still flesh, it didn't have the skin and everything. And they were within and around its rib cages, like inside of it. And they had such surprised look on their faces. And everybody else, like, they look like they just seen the devil or something just crazy. Like, the looks on their faces, expressions just changed so quickly. And they looked so surprised and everything. And, just seeing that happen, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was pretty crazy to see that. And that's how the episode ends. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That was a pretty cool way to end it, but it was pretty crazy, and I want to see more. But they always make a great ending for these episodes. I'll give them that. So overall, I would give this episode a 4.3 out of 5. A little bit lower than some might give, but like I said earlier in the episode, it felt like it was a bit of a flashback a little bit in some ways. And not too much really happened realistically. Time-wise, not very much time went by, not very much happened. But things did happen and come true the way I predicted them to. And we did see, how that guy's going to be a role in the main story and everything. In that basement, we know what's happening. We know how Eren become how he was and everything. What happened with his dad, how he got that key. We learned a lot of things. And that I still think that female character is going to be kind of a funny character on the story. Her and Potato Girl, God, I did not think of this before. Her and Potato Girl need to meet. Oh, that's going to be freaking fun. But I really can't wait. So, I mean, it had a little bit of everything, had some humor and it had some seriousness. A lot of things we learned and exposed, but not too much time went by. So at least the time wasn't, like, too wasted or anything like that. So it was a pretty good episode overall. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys in my next review.